Howdy, howdy. Mr. Voiles here with a quick tutorial on Photoshop. Today we're going to be talking about image size. So as you guys know, yesterday I assigned you creating some stories for Instagram. So I'm going to go ahead and go to create new, and I'm going to kind of create my own template here to use for an Instagram story. But some people got confused. I'm going to put IG. You can pretty much name it whatever you want. Okay, I put IG story at the top. And let's just say you got confused and you switched around your 1080 by 1920. So I'm going to do that on purpose. I'm going to mess up on purpose. I'm going to keep it as 1920 on the width, and on the height 1080. And I've got 300 pixels per inch, which is perfect. And then I'm going to click create. Okay, so now what I've ended up with was the correct dimensions, but it's just turned on its side because I plugged in those numbers into the wrong places. 1080 should be the width and 1920 should be the height, because you've got to have something that is taller than it is wide. Okay, so what we can do is basically change it going to image size. And if you remember, today we have an assignment due. You're going to take a screenshot showing me that you have the correct image size. Well, the only way you can do that without having to recreate a whole nother project is you would go up to image, okay? And then we're going to go from image and click on image size. Okay, and when you go to image size, you get this box, okay, and this box is basically telling you what your document is set up to be. So right here it's showing we've got our 1920 on the width, and then our height is 1080 pixels. Sometimes when you open up this dialog, it might go to inches for some reason. Don't freak out. So don't change the numbers if it's on inches. Go ahead and change it to pixels, and you'll see that it's probably correct. And the reason why is because when I switch from pixels to inches, you can see I've got the correct pixels, which is 1920 by 1080. But when I switch to inches, it's telling me that that is basically the same thing as 6.4 inches wide and 3.6 inches tall. Okay, so I'm going to switch back to pixels, and what I know I need to do now is just switch these two numbers. Okay, so switching to pixels first is what's most important, and now I'm going to put 1080 on the width, so it's going to only be 1080 pixels wide. And if you go to this box or this square, it's basically showing you a little preview, and you can see there's a plus or minus button. I'm going to minus out so I can see kind of like the whole canvas. And as you can see, while I'm typing in those numbers, it actually changes and gives me a preview. So if I typed in like, let's say 80 pixels, you can see it's giving me 80 pixels wide and 1080 pixels tall or high. All right, so it's actually showing you a preview of what your canvas would look like. So we know it's got to be 1080 on the top. So you can see as I'm typing in the numbers, it's giving me a very, very like skinny canvas size because I've only typed in 10. But let's type in 1080. Okay, and you can see as I type it in, those numbers change automatically. So now I've got 1080 by 1080, which is a perfect square. So you see how that works? And then I'm going to type in 1080 by 1920. Okay, so that will help you to kind of see if you've got it right, if you just kind of zoom out there with that minus sign. You also want to make sure that you uncheck this little chain, because if you check that chain, basically what it's saying is whatever you type in on the top, like let's say if I put in 400, it's going to constrain those proportions and give me something proportionate on the height. Okay, so what I want, if I type in 1080 on the top, it's only going to give me 608 pixels on the bottom. So make sure you uncheck that little chain, which is linking the width and the height together, so you can put in your own custom setting. So 1080 by 1920, I'm going to do that again. Okay, so you can see now that I've got the correct dimensions for the story, which is 1080 pixels wide by 1920 pixels high. and I'm going to go ahead and leave this at 300. You can do anywhere from 72 to 100 to 300. I just like to keep mine at 300, and then I'm going to click OK. And now you can see that has been corrected, and now I can bring in like my photography and start to see how it's going to look on Instagram. Alrighty guys, that's it for today. Remember, you're going to take a screenshot. You go up to image size, take a screenshot of that, and if you need to fix anything that went wrong yesterday, you can also do it from here. Thanks guys, and we will see you next time.